In 1978, a chunk of the Earth was torn away by a triangular gateway through time and space. Civilization began to crumble under the stress, and it was everything we could do to build the ships that we did. First was the Shepherd. Sent through the gate, it sent only one message back: safe. But that's when the supply chains began to fail, and building further ships took us nearly a decade. Despite the skeletons of nearly a dozen huge colony ships orbiting our wounded home, only one had a working furrow drive by the time the cracks appeared. The Sunstrider escaped the disintegrating Earth as our planet tore itself apart. The communications array picking up the pleading and dying screams of billions. After nearly a year of chasing that triangular tear in space, the Sunstrider crossed the threshold to find itself hovering in an atmosphere above a continent-sized hexagonal world plate. A radio communication with one simple sentence was received: surrender to the Commonwealth. Time moved much faster in this new place, a place the residents call the Cypher System. Unknown generations had gone by for the descendants of a crashed shepherd. Catastrophes, conflicts, a shortage of resources, and the ever-present danger of an artificial system meant that the descendants of the shepherd lost so very much before scraping themselves tooth and nail back to some semblance of civilization, but only just barely. As the Sunstrider hovers here, we enter a new time. Humanity is only just starting to really explore the Cypher System, with its countless world plates, odd planets, and more dangers than we can count. Survival is tough for the best of us, and nearly impossible for those without wealth and means. And always, there are things waiting in the darkness. What is Voidhome? The Voidhome tabletop role-playing game is a science fiction survival horror. You play characters in a retro-futuristic world where some basic technology has advanced enough to let you explore the Cypher System, but everything else has stagnated due to the lack of resources, and the fact that our species is basically in survival mode. Someone described Voidhome as a hard sci-fi in appearance with a soft narrative sci-fi in gameplay. There's no faster-than-light travel, no artificial gravity. The setting itself has that feeling of a more grounded sci-fi. However, very few people want to calculate how much delta V you need for a Hohmann transfer to another orbital body. It's fun to use fancy science words, but another thing entirely for actually doing it in a game. Thus, Voidhome has a more narrative and cinematic approach to how it runs, while still feeling and sounding a bit more like a hard sci-fi. The system itself is a modified version of the Cypher System engine, the same one used for Numenera, the Old Gods of Appalachia RPG, and the upcoming The Magnus Archives RPG. Although the system has been modified and tuned towards a sci-fi survival horror, with only a few tweaks, you can still bring character options from most other Cypher products into the Voidhome setting. Quite simply, most mechanics in Voidhome, for those times when you aren't role-playing social situations, is run as a task. It's as simple as choosing what the task is, having the GM decide which pool it runs off of, might, speed, or intellect, and a difficulty from 1 to 10. Then it's just a matter of determining if anything modifies that difficulty. Players and the GM both have narrative tools they can use as part of this to help guide the dice in the direction they want, and players pay any costs for the task and then they roll against the appropriate target number of the difficulty. That's it. That's the majority of the game. The primary core of the system is simple enough that it's printed on the very first page of the book for easy reference. If nothing else, this is what you need to basically play the game. However, as you delve into it, there's more, a lot more. Character options that are highly customizable by crafting your character sentence, several other scores you must keep track of, like your encumbrance, bulk, and especially your dread. For those familiar with Cypher System, you'll notice a few differences here. Some things like your starting pools, edge, and more are standardized between all character types. The descriptor part of your character sentence is always customized and created custom by you, using the descriptor creation framework. There are 5 new types, and these are less generic and a little more specific specifically designed to go with the setting. There are tons of new foci, with a few old familiar ones that may be tweaked a little, and new flavors that let you play a cat, dog, robot, or the next step in human evolution with the vicissitude flavor. When setting up your Voidhome campaign, your group also has some choices to make that help the GM with decision making. This includes your optional starting scenario, like space truckers, bounty hunters, lost and afraid, corporate indenture roughnecks, and more. It also has a rumors system for your characters to give each PC a little peek into the lives of the others, even if sometimes those peeks are a lie. As mentioned, both players and game monitors have narrative tools to help guide the game in the form of effort, experience, sway, and TIMs. Although dice bring random elements to it, these narrative tools let you balance the game at the cost of some kind. This way, you never find yourself in a situation where things go too bad or too good just because of dice rolls. A string of luck can always be guided. Sway is an especially exciting new mechanic because it's a meta currency tied to the player, not the character. Perfect for if your group plays a bunch of short mini campaigns or a series of one-shots. This way you still have a benefit that you can earn that travels with you as a player. Voidhome is not a combat simulator. Although you could play the equivalent of colonial marines from the movie Aliens, most of Voidhome is about discovery, manipulation, survival, and interaction. This is why the traditional combat system has been removed and replaced with our new conflict system. This system has no initiative order, no health scores, no damage. Instead, NPCs and situations both have a presence score that players can adjust with their impact. Impact could be the firing of a gun, but it could also be a diplomatic sentence to help talk the desperate miners' union out of violence, or coasting your ship quietly through a combat zone without getting detected. Anything has the ability to cause impact to the scene, meaning that when it comes to action, there's no longer a divide between combat and the rest of the game. And with no set turn order, the game monitor gets to decide what order the NPCs go in, with the players having the options of taking action or interrupting as the scene unfolds. Voidhome has taken the Cypher System and restructured it slightly. Many repeatable rules and phrases have been standardized and turned into a tags system. This has the wonderful side effect of blurring the lines between some equipment types. Your spacesuit might have a weapon tag to give it a built-in weapon, but also some resistance tags, maybe a resource tag for oxygen, and a storage tag for a built-in pack. So it's not a weapon, it's not armor, it's not just equipment, it's all of the above. The quick reference tags let you narrow in on what the mechanics are for anything in the game, from abilities to equipment to ciphers, even NPC traits, leaving the description text for more detailed interactions and any narrative flavors. You won't have to wade through paragraphs of text to get to the meat of the rules for most things. It also means creating new equipment, abilities, NPCs, and more for both players and GMs is easy by taking a base example and modifying its tags. The core rulebook is all you need is both a player and game monitor, or GM, to run the game. But this is more than just a core set of rules. The expansive setting of Aorus is yours to enjoy. Descriptions of places, people, organizations, events, and so much more. Whether you're in a spaceship flying between planets or using the complicated gate network between world plates, it's a huge area that is mostly unknown. There are numerous world plates, several planets, along with space stations and other points of interest already designed for your group to explore, but also a robust generation section using Arcader System in case your group goes somewhere new and you, the GM, don't want to design it yourself. With a few easy rolls of the dice and a couple of small blanks to fill in, you have unlimited potential at your fingertips. There's also a full crafting, repairing, and upgrading system, new rules for vehicles, and tons more to make delving into this world yours to customize how you see fit. A note about the tone of the game. Although any Voidhome campaign can have moments of levity or even humor, for the most part, Voidhome is a dark setting full of desperation and horrific things waiting in the shadows. It's a sci-fi survival horror with occasional inspired undertones of the Wild West. Aliens are truly alien, not relatable or even able to be interacted with in any understandable manner. Also, Humanity is desperate and in survival mode, and when human beings are desperate, they often resort to extremes. Extreme heroism and kindness, but also extreme evil and depravity. Theft, murder, slavery, prejudice, war, strife, and so much more, these are all the things you fight against. Voidhome is not a game designed for everyone, and that's okay. When making it, we had a vision on what the theme and genre of the game was all about. So whether you're hopping from world plate to world plate, walking the frontiers of exploration, or hurling yourself through the black in pressurized metal cans, a thin wall between you and certain death, there's plenty of adventure to be had. When most people make a new game, with a setting tied to it, you may open up the rules, but you rarely open up the setting. Voidhome will be different, and both will be open. Existing Cypher System mechanics are already covered under the Cypher System open license. But for new mechanics, as well as any world lore and proper nouns like names, places, events, objects, etc., they can all freely and openly be referenced in your works, even published works. Although I ask you not to reprint anything from the Voidhome book, you can still reference and expand upon them. Want to make a book of new world plates? Do it. Got some adventure ideas you'd love to publish and drive through RPG for Voidhome? Give her. Want to make a book that's a deep dive into the Moyle Corporation or the infamous gang known as the Delius Clow? I love it. Do it. The setting and system for Voidhome is something I want to be a living world that you can expand upon. As long as you don't publish anything so horrifically problematic and repugnant that it'd get banned in most publishing locations anyways, then I say give her. I want to see what you can come up with. You can create an existing world with much of the groundwork done for you in what will hopefully be a recognizable and expanding brand. So, early access release. How do you get your grubby little hands on it? On February 29th, 2024, around midday-ish, probably around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be releasing 3 early access packages that you can buy on my Ko-fi shop. Link in the description below. Now, these packages will not appear until February 29th, so if you go there right now and it's not February 29th yet, at that time, you're not going to see them. So, heads up on that. I've had a few people ask, it does not release until February 29th. As long as nothing goes wrong, when the full releases of the book do happen, you can request for any products you get on the Ko-fi shop to be added to your drive-through RPG as well. These early access packages are available for a limited time only and will not be able to be purchased after the full release of the core book happens, at which time the prices for the products will go to full price and be individually sold on both my Ko-fi shop and drive-through RPG. So, on the 29th, what 3 packages will we see? Well, first, there will be the $15 for the early bird package. This gets you early access to all playtest packages for the core rulebook, as well as the PDF digital copy when it's fully released. This also means you'll be getting the core rulebook cheaper by backing it early. $30 will get you the bundle edition. This gets you everything from the early bird package as well as the opposition codex, which is sort of like the Voidhome's version of a bestiary. You'll also get a few little extras like some art graphics, wallpapers, and some little bits and bobs that will only be given to early adopters of this amount or higher. Finally, there's the $80 package. That gives you everything from the other packages as well as a full-length adventure, your name as a supporter in the core rulebook, and any other Voidhome books I publish until 2026. There are already the framework ideas of a few books we're looking at, like the Voidhome Traveler's Guide and Home of the Fallen. Heads up though, this is a limited quantity package because of how much we're giving with it. To start with, only 13 people can buy the $80 package. If there's enough interest, we may increase this number, but there's no promises. There's only a couple of us working on this project, and we want to make sure that we can actually pay to continue it. Well, survivors, are you ready to start exploring Oris? Ready to deal with the greedy corporations, the corrupt Commonwealth government, the cutthroat gangs? Ready to run from aliens and fight the horrific leftovers of ancient ages long past? Ready to push into the frontier towns where people scrape and strive to survive? Welcome to your Voidhome.